I actually have been a dietitian for, well, since 1985, so almost 30 years, and things have changed a lot. Yes. You know, especially with childhood obesity, looking at, it was virtually unknown when I entered, got my first job as a dietitian in 1985. We didn't even have to deal with that, where now that is, it's just such a huge, huge issue. The Centers for Disease Control have been keeping records. I think they started like around 1979, 1980. And if you really want to see the progression in the United States, if you go to their website, they actually have a map for every year. Right. So you click on like 1980 and it shows you the percentage of overweight individuals in that state, and every year it changes. And as we went on down the road, they actually had to start adding new categories because now more people were not just overweight, but were actually falling into the obese category. Right. So probably when we really first started knowing the issue was around 1980. And it seems like something changed, whether it was more technology, so people weren't as physically active. Portion sizes started growing at that time, it seems like, and that probably all just kind of converged to, bring us to where we are today. Well, you asked me, when did I become a dietitian? So looking back when I first started, like in 1985, normally what I would see a child for would be like allergies, maybe type 1 diabetes. But now, as time has gone by, children are coming in for high cholesterol levels. They're coming in for high blood pressure. Type 2 diabetes, which used to be called adult onset, but because children are being diagnosed at probably a higher rate than adults, we can't call it adult onset, because I've had children under the age of 10 in my office with high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, even fatty liver disease, which typically you only see in adults, and that's when there's such rapid weight gain that a lot of the fat is deposited in the liver and it causes damage. So what's happening is children even under the age of 10 are being diagnosed with what we would consider an adult disease. And the health implication is now, instead of being in your 50s or 60s and developing diabetes, you're now less than 10 years old and you have 50 more years of all the complications that might arise, and that is a huge impact on someone's health. This will probably be the first generation that the parents might actually have a longer lifespan than their children, which is really sad. It shouldn't be that way. And when you think about it, just, lifestyle is making that huge impact. But I guess the good news is that means there is something we can do about it too. Well, I know here in Orange County, one thing that's happening, the school system is looking at, and of course there's been national mandates, that the nutritional composition of meals need to change. And Orange County's been working very diligently, the dietitians that work within Orange County public school system, to offer healthier options to the children. And my experience has been that children pretty much, if you offer them, give them choices, healthy choices, they don't mind choosing healthy food, but that has to be available. And so that's one thing. Also, physical education within the school system. I know in the almost 30 years I've been practicing as a dietitian, it started out everybody had PE, and then the whole country went through this period where PE kind of was pulled out of the schools, so there was more emphasis on academic work. That kind of backfired. Didn't take us long to figure out kids need to move throughout the day. So it's back in, so the physical education, healthier food choices. Most schools now have taken sugary beverages out of their vending machines, and it's water, maybe some, 100% fruit juices. So those changes can be very beneficial, definitely. And so, kids are in school a lot of their waking hours, and so I think it will have an impact, and it's important that things are in place so children can make healthier choices. I've had people tell me that, oh yeah, my kids came home from school and they were all excited because they learned how to make this smoothie. And in fact, here locally, one of the schools, they had some parents were coming in doing some healthy things in the school. They were teaching the kids how to get more fruit in, so they were showing them how to make smoothies, and the local grocery store actually called the school up and said, what's going on there? The parents are just flocking in buying all this fruit. So what happens at school, what kids get really excited about, they actually take home, and it's a way to reach the parents. And so it just now you kind of close that circle, so to speak, where the school's really getting the children excited, but they go home, and because they're excited, the parents start getting on board with that. So the schools can definitely impact how the family starts interacting also, because, you know, as you mentioned, it really needs to also start with the family. That's where the children are spending most of their time, and believe it or not, kids look up to their parents as their #1 role model. And so the parents have to be doing those healthy behaviors, definitely. I think in our society, there's so much technology. It's very easy for us to just sit around all day and not really have to move. But I think one of the biggest concerns, especially when we're talking about children, is many children get home from school before their parents get home from work. And it's just a safety issue to tell them, oh yeah, go outside and play, you know, go in the backyard, which most neighborhoods today, the houses don't even have backyards. I know some neighborhoods don't even really have sidewalks. You know, the houses are close together. They may live on a busy street. So the parents obviously are concerned about their children's safety, so they really don't want the children being physically active outside when they're not around. But by the time they get home, maybe it's too late or they're too tired. So it is very difficult for today's family to be really physically active, especially the kids. So I always encourage families, you know, look at things, what do you like to do? Do them together, even inside. I mean, you know, dance or jump rope or do hula hoop, all those things you can do inside that will get you physically active. But then find things you can do outside, that you can go out and enjoy nature, you know, go for walks. There's all kinds of things, but it's really probably sitting down and kind of brainstorming as a family. What can we do and when can we do it? Actually, most major cities in the United States, so whether it's New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, they're all looking at and have implemented things, you know, within, not like as a whole, obviously, but within some of the schools. I know like in Chicago, one thing that I've thought was pretty cool for the kids, the schools have their own gardens. And, you know, the kids will go out and plant everything, and then they actually get to eat what they're growing. And amazingly enough, when kids are involved to that extent, they'll eat. You know, they may never have touched a tomato, but when they grow it, they'll eat it. And there's also, I know, quite a few cities across the country they do what they call walking school buses. So kids that live closer to school, the parents will all walk them. They all walk to school. So there's that kind of program. And of course the CDC has things like, it's called VERB, which is just their program to get children active, and that's available to any schools. Of course, Mrs. Obama has the Let's Move initiative that you can go online, and there's toolkits for that. But I think most major cities in the United States have started putting together things just outside of physical education. Well, I think the one thing that has been my observation, and that to me is the most important thing, is for families to realize that for their children to be healthy, they have to work on that together. You know, a 6-year-old child cannot go to the store and buy, you know, fruits and vegetables. They really can't go outside by themselves. You know, they really need the parents to be involved. And especially if a child is overweight and one sibling is a healthy weight, it's important that everybody does the same thing, because we can all be healthier. And I think just thinking baby steps, how can we move a little bit more? How can we have one more fruit or one more vegetable throughout the day? Watching too much TV, playing too many video games, that all has a role. So how do we spend less time doing something sedentary, more time being active, but the family sitting down together, coming up with a plan, and the parents really driving that and guiding the children, and of course the tough part being the role model for their kids for healthy behaviors, but it really takes the family working together.